Week 12 is here in the NFL, and so are my best bets. We got one spread, one over-under, and 4 player props coming your way. Yo, what's going on, everyone? This is Austin from Calling Our Shot, and we're going to get after it today. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Now, we had a terrible Thanksgiving. We were 0-3 on our picks, but we're going to bounce back today, so we're closing in on 14,000 subscribers. We can't do it without you guys' support, so make sure you smash that subscribe button down below. Click that like button and comment your best bet for Week 12 in the NFL. We're going to get after it, and let's start with some player props. Then we'll get into my spread and over-under pick of the day. We're starting with Kenny Golladay, under 50.5 receiving yards, plus 110 on Caesars. So normally this line it's plus 110 on Caesars Sportsbook, more like minus 100, minus 105 on other sportsbooks. But I like it regardless the value you get it at. Now plus 110 is even better. But Golladay, I mean, he's the high-priced free agent for the New York Giants. Really hasn't panned out too well. He's dealt with injuries all season long. He's gone under this line in 4 of 7 games, including 3 straight games. Now, today he takes on the Eagles, the Philadelphia Eagles. They are at home, the New York Giants are, but I don't think that will play a difference. Eagles have been a wide receiver nightmare, especially for guys that line up on the outside. Now, what does Kenny Golladay do? He lines up all the way on the outside, and he'll be playing his former teammate, Darius Slay. And they have a resume. They have a lot of history together. Kenny Golladay spent his first couple years with the Detroit Lions, and who was his teammate? Darius Slay for his first 3 seasons. So these guys will know each other pretty well. So Darius Slay will have an advantage on the defensive side of the ball. And you look at it, Slay did get banged up last week, but he should be back fully ready to go. Now, if you play fantasy football, you know, if you look at Kenny Golladay, if you happen to have him on your team, I'm sorry in advance because your team's probably not that great, but you'll see the Philadelphia Eagles allow the 3rd fewest fantasy points to opposing wide receivers, and that should continue today. Now, the Eagles on the season, they've allowed just 9 wide receivers to have 50 or more receiving yards against them in 11 games. That's less than 1 a game. And you look at those guys that have done it, so guys like Deebo Samuel, Antonio Brown, Keenan Allen, Hunter Renfrow, all these guys run a lot of their routes either in the slot or against the 2nd, 3rd corners on the Philadelphia Eagles, not against their number 1. There's really only been a couple guys that have gone over against Darius Slay this season. One, you had Calvin Ridley, he had 51 yards, just going over by 1 yard. Another one, you had Mike Williams, who had 58 yards just on 2 catches, so he did it in 1 catch essentially. And then Tyreek Hill, who had an absolute field day. The Chiefs just ran all over this Philadelphia Eagles defense. I like Kenny Galladay's under, and I'll be taking it today, so ride with it. Even if he doesn't get open, you still got to rely on Daniel Jones to hit him with the ball, which is always a question mark in itself. So I'll ride with Kenny Golladay, under 50.5 receiving yards, plus 110 value. You love to see it. Now let's move on to another one. Nick Chubb, under 81.5 rushing yards, minus 114 on FanDuel. So we took his over last week, and he cashed for us easily, and we love him. We thank him for that. But today, we're on his under, and it's for a couple different reasons. Number one, he's taking on the Ravens, who currently allow the 2nd fewest rushing yards per game at just 88 total in the whole entire game. So that's not just Nick Chubb, but also Kareem Hunt, who we'll talk about in a second, Dearness Johnson, even the quarterbacks, they only allow 88 rushing yards per game combined. Now, number 2, on the season, the Browns are on the road today, and in his career, they're on Sunday Night Football, and in his career, he averages 6 less rushing yards per game on the road than he does at home. And in the number 3, in 6 career road games versus the Baltimore Ravens, he's gone over to this line just twice, and that includes 1 game he had 165 yards, so he doubled the line, and then the other one he had last year, 82 rushing yards. So he really barely went over on the hook. Now, number 4, probably the most important stat that I will tell you about Nick Chubb, only 1 running back has had 60 or more rushing yards against the Baltimore Ravens all year long. So not just 81.5, which is what Nick Chubb needs to hit this over, just 60. So even getting 20 yards within this total, yeah, and Dalvin Cook did that a couple weeks back. Every other running back has struggled, and I don't expect you took out a Ravens team and you look at them, are you thinking, as a defensive coordinator for the Ravens, are you going to, one, let the Browns establish the run all over you, or are you going to say, you know what, I'll make Baker Mayfield, injured Baker, beat me? I would say you go towards the Baker route because Baker has really struggled. He's thrown an interception in all 5 career games versus the Baltimore Ravens, so sprinkle some on that. That's plus value if you really want it. But the Ravens also lead the NFL in time of possession at over 33 minutes per game. And that number only goes up a little bit at home, which is where they are at Sunday Night Football. I don't see a big Nick Chubb dosage coming on. And last but not least, Kareem Hunt, he was designated to return Saturday. He should be active again on Sunday. And hey, that will take a couple attempts away from him. Dearness Johnson I don't anticipate him to be absolutely given the boot. I think we'll see Nick Chubb see a reduced workload, and especially against a very, very, very tough rushing defense for the Ravens. So I'll ride with Nick Chubb under 81.5 rushing yards. Now moving on to another one. It's a sketchy one. I wish I had my Jets pennant on up in the back. Zach Wilson, we're taking his over 229.5 passing yards, minus 114 on Barstool. So this number is 229.5 on Barstool. Some other books have it at 235, some even up to 240. I'd probably take it up to 244.5. Now, Zach Wilson, if you don't know him, he's the 2nd overall pick to my New York Jets, and Sadly, he's been out the last 4 games due to injury, and he's finally back. But over that time span when he was out, every single Jet quarterback hit this over. So I sure hope he comes back and he plays with a vengeance, because those backups really kind of upshowed him. They showed him up, and he did not look good the first 5 games of his season, but the backups came in. Mike White, Josh Johnson, even Joe Flacco all hit this over. So I'm hoping Wilson has learned something over the past 4 games that he has been out. But in the 5 games he played earlier this season, he did only hit this over in 2 of them. But today, and that was against the Carolina Panthers and the Tennessee Titans. But today, he gets to take on the Texans, which is the real reason we are here. In 10 games so far this year for the Texans, they've allowed 8 quarterbacks to go over this line and only 2 quarterbacks to go under. Those 2 guys, Carson Wentz and Baker Mayfield, who we already talked about. Now, those two QBs only attempted 20 and 21 pass attempts in their respective games. Now, I understand they're probably more talented than Zach Wilson, although Baker Mayfield's really struggling, but so is Zach Wilson all year. But those guys are more talented, but still Zach Wilson has thrown the ball over 30 times in all 5 of his career starts, and I think he's going to throw it even more. The Jets are now down Michael Carter, their starting running back, and truthfully, as a Jets fan, I do not want to see either Tevin Coleman or Ty Johnson running the ball, and I don't think the Jets coaching staff does either. I think we'll see a lot more dump downs than we did Zach Wilson the first couple of games of the season. I think he'll look a little bit matured. At least cross my fingers. That's what you're hoping for as a Jets fan. Taking the over 229.5 passing yards and riding with him today. Now, final player prop of the video before we get into the player and a spread and over under. Tyler Conklin under 36.5 receiving yards, -114 on Barstool. Now, first, before you're going on to Google, you're like, who the heck's Tyler Conklin? I'll save you the trouble. He's the Minnesota Vikings starting tight end, and Kyle Rudolph's out of town, so Tyler Conklin has filled in, and he's done a pretty good job. And I first got to say shout out to @PropBetGuy on Twitter. He's the one that pointed out this prop. I was looking at it, was like kind of going on the fence, but he really pointed out, gave me a good analysis, and we're going to steal some of his analysis here. So credit to him. Go follow him. He's got 45,000 followers. Also follow us. We're only at 5,000, so go shoot us a follow @CallinOurShot down below. But Conklin, he showed flashes this year, and like I said, he's now the starting tight end for the Minnesota Vikings, and still, I don't love this matchup, and that's truthfully the reason we're here. The 49ers allow the fewest receiving yards per game to opposing tight ends. There's just 29.4 a game. They've not allowed one opposing tight end to hit this over this season since week 1, which was TJ Hawkinson. And you look at Conklin, he stayed under this line in 5 of 10 games so far this season. So now he's going 50-50 over and 50 under. Now you're getting a terrible matchup. Also, Conklin, he runs majority shallow routes. He's mostly in the flat, average depth of target, just 5.4 yards per target, and only 17% of his targets are ever above 10 yards down the field. Now, against this fast linebacking core led by the 49ers, I don't see the volume really going above this total over 36.5, so that's why we're taking the under 39.5. You look at Fred Warner, one of the best coverage linebackers in the NFL. I think we'll be able to lock up Tyler Conklin. We might see Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, and maybe even Dalvin Cook have good games, but I'm not going to count on Tyler Conklin. I'm taking his under 36.5 receiving yards. Now, moving on to my spread pick of the day, we're taking the Indianapolis Colts +3.5, taking on the Buccaneers -108 on FanDuel. So this line can be 3 if you really want to take it, but here's my analysis. This goes back to the narrative we talked about last week on Monday Night Football. It was Bucs versus Giants, and everyone was like, I got to take the Giants, too many points. That's 11 points. Yeah, I got to take it. And I said, not so fast, because the Buccaneers are such a better home team than they are on the road team. Well, Buccaneers, sadly, they're on the road today, and that's why we're here. Now, obviously, they easily covered versus the Giants, but before that, they were absolutely terrible. Now, the Colts, on the other hand, they just come off a beatdown versus the Buffalo Bills, and they're rolling, winning 5 of their last 6 games. Now, the Colts, they are 3-3 against the spread this season at home, so, could be better, could be worse, but still, they've been playing much better. Like I said, won 5 of their last 6 games. Now, the Bucs, on the other hand, 0-5 against the spread on the road this season, the worst in the NFL. They're one of only 2 teams to not cover on the road this season. The other one is my New York Jets, who are 0-4 against the spread. Now, the big difference is their offense does not click on the road. They're still without Antonio Brown. Finally got Rob Gronkowski back last week, but still the Bucs have scored 38 points per game at home this season, only 23 on the road, a 15-point difference. I just don't see, I don't know, maybe Tom Brady doesn't like sleeping in the hotel bed or wherever they got him sleeping. He needs his own bed. Either way, I'm taking the Bucs and I'm fading them. I'm taking the Colts +3.5. I love the home team in this one. I think this is more of a field goal game. Wouldn't be surprised to see the Buccaneers win it, because hopefully they kind of turn things into gear, but I'll ride with the hot team, the Colts +3.5. Now, final play of the video, we're taking the Patriots and the Titans. We're taking the under 43.5 points. Now, this is -110. If the line moves a point or 2, I don't mind. And if you ever want to ask me about anything, let me know down below in the comments. But on one hand, you have the Patriots, who are arguably the hottest team in the NFL. They've won 5 straight games. They're absolute beaten down teams. Just came off a Thursday night football victory against the Falcons, 25-0. We got burned. We took the Falcons. Whatever. What can you do about it? But the Titans, on the other hand, They used to be. They're the ex-NFL's hottest team. They've won 6 straight games, and then last week they lost the Houston Texans. Man, I don't have an explanation for that, but this week they're traveling to Foxborough, a tough place to play, so it's already going to be tough for them to win outright. And then you throw into it, the Patriots defense has been dominant. They've allowed 6, 7, and 0 points over the last 3 games. They've been absolutely killing teams, no doubt about it. And then you throw onto that, cherry on top, the Titans will be without obviously Julio Jones and Derrick Henry, who they've both been without a couple games really in a row. And now you throw on A.J. Brown, their number one, really their only target left on offense. They cut Adrian Peterson too. They're down A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, and Derrick Henry. I just don't know where the points are coming from. They're lacking offensive weapons. The last time they were missing A.J. Brown and Julio Jones, they even had Derrick Henry, was against the New York Jets when they lost outright to them. So I like Bill, but still, there's the thing about it. Bill Belichick is very good at defensive scheming. I mean, they've allowed 13 points over 3 weeks. So, but then you look on the other side of the ball, Mike Vrabel, the Bill Belichick disciple. I think they'll both kind of have playing a game of cat and mouse. They'll kind of know each other's tendencies. I could see this being a very low-scoring game. Mike Vrabel, like I said, he is a Bill Belichick disciple. Used to play for him, even I believe coached for them as well. He'll have some tricks up his sleeve for rookie quarterback Mac Jones. He's really been looking absolutely unreal so far this season. I expect both defenses to show up and show out, and we should see a heavy run-dominated game led by obviously the Titans with no wide receivers, and obviously the Patriots who want to run the ball and establish the run. So give me the under 43.5 points. I think that's too many points for this AFC showdown. Now that'll do it for the video. I hope you guys have a great week 12. We obviously have our daily NBA best bets, so check it out for Sunday. That video will be live soon. We appreciate you guys soon. We'll be live in the morning, depending on when you're watching this. We appreciate you guys. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Click that like button, comment down below, and go follow us on our social medias. We appreciate you guys in advance. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.